Hey everybody, Succeedo here and welcome to another episode of the Fit Founders podcast. Today I'm joined by a very special guest, Mr. Chris Burgess. Chris, thanks for joining me.
Hey mate, good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. Chris, we'll cover a lot about your career, what you do, what you have done over the next hour or so. But for people that don't know, do you want to just give a brief intro into who you are and what you're currently up to?
Yeah, of course. So my name is Chris. I'm the owner of Lift the Bar. That's how some of you may have heard of me before. I've also got my own semi-private personal training studio called Curious Fitness. Still do personal training as well, so I'm very much entwined with business to consumer. I've still got my first ever clients and business to business, which is supporting personal trainers through Lift the Bar. In terms of how long I've been doing this kind of stuff, personal training now for, I think it's just over 14 years. And so I'm very fortunate to still have the very first people that paid me money still doing so. I've had Curious Fitness now since, 2015. And Lift the Bar since December 2013. So we just turned nine soon. So yeah, it's a really broad-ranging career of effectively like trying, if I can, to support people live fitter, healthier lifestyles. That's kind of what I'm in it for, trying to help people through the mechanism of exercise and nutrition live the kind of life they want to live. I either do that directly with clients or I try and help trainers do it with their clients. Like that's my big master plan, to try and help trainers deliver a service to clients that enables clients to feel that too.
I love that. And I'm going to throw you a curveball straight away that isn't in our notes, because something that you've just said is, I don't know, maybe something that's spoke about a lot, and that is, I don't want to be a personal trainer walking the gym floor when I'm 40, 50, and you're, I'm not implying that you're 50 years old, of course, but you're still very much, there's a bit of grey, you need to get a skin fade like me, it gets rid of it, hides it, but you're still enjoying personal training, you're still doing it, so what do you think about people's opinions on that, and why are you still doing it?
Because it's what I got in the industry to do. Like this whole running a business thing, like whether it is a gym, running Lift the Bar, need to be aware of various technologies, need to be aware of leadership and management strategies, marketing, advertising, sales, all these components that are learned over a long period of time, and you have to continue to refine them. But none of those reasons were why I initially decided to pack up corporate life. The reason I left corporate life is because I wanted to try and help people feel in their lives what I felt after I started training, and I'm good at that. That's what I'm good at. Like I've enjoyed an awfully long career doing those things. Why would I give up the things I enjoy? And in fact, reversing this a little bit, when I opened the gym and I had my toughest days in Lift the Bar, I give up nearly all one-to-one personal training. And it was very much to the detriment of the gym and Lift the Bar, because I wasn't doing something every day in my professional life that I was really competent and skilled at and brought me a lot of joy. For me still, to this very day, and I'll be doing this, well, I can still walk and talk, so I'm going to be still doing personal training. I want to be the 80-year-old PT, still walking the gym floor helping clients. Hopefully my clients are still around at that point as well. Wait for another day. But for me, what's really important is that everything I do, as best as I possibly can, I feel competent at, I feel skilled at, I feel a great sense of enjoyment, and I'm very open in the fact that I'm an incredibly needy person when it comes to validation for a job well done. It's really hard to find that without like seeing the eyebrows move, and you can see people's facial expressions change. And when you know that you've had that kind of impact on someone, for me, it's addictive. I'm addicted to personal training because of the feedback and how much I know it brings me in my career. I use that as a driving platform for everything else I do. Everything else I do in business.
Yeah.
And one by one, the roles that have taken me further and further away from that have been, I've recruited for and put people into those roles that want to do those things and can do those things way better than me. Now, it's fair and reasonable to suggest that from a financial return perspective, probably doing this still is one of the lesser great uses of my time, for the want of a better, I'm trying to get my England right here. it's not the highest return on time to money investment that you could get doing one-to-one PT. For me, it's not. If I put more time into other things, then I'd probably make more money and save myself a bunch of time. But also the flip side to that is that I probably wouldn't have the gym or lift the bar if I did that. Because I can wake up every day knowing full well I'm going to do something I really enjoy, really good at, get all the validation I need, and it's a platform. I walk into the office feeling 10 foot tall, knowing I can contribute. All the little ideas that come from clients about how I can serve Lift the Bar better, they are really interested parties in how we run Lift the Bar. My clients are. Yeah. They give me little ideas from a client-facing perspective, which meant that when I'm adding or talking to the team about adding resources, it's not coming from I think I know better than other personal trainers. It's coming from, well, if my clients are asking this, maybe other clients are asking for this too.
Yeah, I love that. It's the reason I found it really interesting as well, straight off the bat, is because I actually had a conversation with Luke Johnson about recently, jokingly about retirement and what that would look like. And I think my dream retirement is being back on the gym floor, because I just think it would be a great way for me to spend my time. It's probably not something that I'm ready to go back to just yet while I chase maybe different goals. But I do think a lot of coaches are too quick to think the grass is greener on the other side, chasing whether it's finance or freedom or whatever it may be, and kind of forget about the positive outcomes on their life and that they can have on other people from working on the gym floor.
Yeah, I really, well, as you know, I'm a circle jerk for this kind of chat. And for me, freedom means being able to choose what I do with my time. And the fact I'm willing to choose to do that in order to make hopefully thousands of other people feel that they're a part of something is crucial to me. It's a part of who I am. And that'll be me forever. I don't see myself ever fully retiring, because this job brings too much to me, too much joy.
I love that. So now that I've taken on that curveball, let's try and pull things back in. How did you end up in the fitness industry? Because you were in advertising prior, right? Print?
Yeah, that's right. I'm really proud that the guy I worked with at Future Publishing way back in the day, a guy called Steve Roberts, now works with us in Lift the Bar. He's one of our colleagues, and that's something that I just find really, really enamoring, because he was also the body that you need to take for your level 2 and level 3 for the practical assessment. He is my body in that. So he was the very first person that was there when I was leaving Future, passed my PT qualification, and now he works with us too. So I'm always coming to work, and whenever Steve's name is mentioned, it always gives me a really, really good feeling. So if we flash back to, I guess, my most enjoyable time at Future, I thought, yeah, it was advertising sales, but at the same time, they had a really good outlook on building great relationships and solving problems for clients, and how we can help them reach better audiences, get a better engagement, and all this kind of stuff that we talk about on social media now. Like, we're all advertisers and we all do marketing stuff. Then one day, they decided that they wanted to move away. They had a management change because share price fell a little bit, so they made some big changes at HQ, and they decided that now it's going to be much more pressure-based sales and more about the number of calls you can bash out. They were really pressing on close rate. They didn't really care too much about, or my interpretation was they didn't care quite so much about quality of relationship, and it was more about quantity of sales. Don't worry about what problems you're solving, just get the money in. And that made me feel really defeated. And the reality is that they get to choose to run their business how they want to run their business. Yeah. I'm an employee of theirs. Nobody's got a gun to my head keeping me there. But while they're making these changes, I had just moved into this phase of my life whereby I stopped playing football, I joined the gym, started noticing changes in that, and enjoyed what I was doing. And I was on my honeymoon and talking to Sam, my wife, about this, and saying, look, Future have changed. I'm not enjoying it anymore. I don't like the way in which we have to do things, and I really enjoy the gym. Maybe there's this profession whereby I can solve problems for people, but I can allow them also to feel the benefit that I felt through getting fitter and healthier and this kind of stuff. And so my transition to becoming a PT began. Got qualified over the course of a few years. Like, I didn't do it over the 6 weeks thing. I was just dipping in and out because work pressure got in the way. And then alongside that, I told some of my colleagues I was doing this thing. They were really on board with it. They're like, well, if you need someone to practice personal training on, why don't you train me before work? Why don't you train me after work? And before I knew where I was, I'd like qualified as a PT, had a full-time job at Future, earning really good money, plus commission is all right. More than what I am now. And I was starting finishing work every day, Monday to Friday, training a colleague for cheap money, but give me loads of practice. And then they realised what I was doing, and they realised that no longer was I finishing Friday night in the office and going straight down the pub for some beers with the sales lads after work. I was going straight to the gym to train clients for like 15 quid.
Yeah.
And so my face stopped fitting, and it made even more tense work atmosphere there. So then I had a decision to make about whether I go all in on this or I stop it altogether. And so I decided to go all in on it. That's my way into the fitness industry. Transitioned across from a full-time, very good career. My mum at the time was really unhappy that I was moving away from a employed job with good progression into being self-employed. But the one person that has never for a single second doubted that I could do it is Sam. Without her, who knows? Who knows? Because again, for me, I needed that validation of someone saying, I believe in you.
I love that. I think everybody needs that one person, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you take this huge leap of faith, huge risk. What do those first 6 months, 12 months look like?
Yeah, it's good. So took the leap, as it were, and I got a personal training position at the University of Bath Sports Training Village, which, for those that don't know, it's based at the university, but it's a huge sports campus. It's a really, really fantastic place. And in effect, what we had there was a huge student population using the gym and international athletes. Alongside that, though, there was this small but growing pool of general public clients or members of the gym there that really felt at the time when I walked in that they were not a priority to the centre at all. Students and international athletes took huge priority in every decision that was made. So I just made it my business to make friends with as many people from that misrepresented group of members as possible. And over the course of my first 6 months, moving into 12 months at the university, I went from like doing like 10 to 12 sessions a week with ex-colleagues who stopped training with me when I moved to the university. And very quickly, I was at the 25 to 30 sessions per week within 6 months, all because I was just focused on that general population group who looks like they're not being looked after that well. Then it's little things like making sure that the membership sales team, if they had someone from general population coming in, signing up, we know that they may feel that they're not a priority. It's like, can I do their induction? Can I be the one that welcomes them into this place? And it grew that way. And then within 12 months, I was at the stage whereby I was doing like 40 odd sessions a week. And I did that for a good, I think, 18 months to 2 years before somebody finishing the personal training course at the university, Johnny Stevens, who works with me at Curious now. Sorry, works with me, not works for me. I'm very conscious of language when it comes to my colleagues. And he said, look, you seem to have a good client base. I'm just starting out. Do you mind if I shadow you a little bit? And so took him on, and we grew a bit of a client base together. And so the story continued to grow. But then the issue that we had, a me issue. Again, I was working in a sports trainer village, and I was doing a lot of sessions, and people who ran that centre could see that I was doing quite well. And if they did the maths on it, this personal trainer, this upstart kid who just joined the place a year ago, if the numbers added up appropriately, it worked out as probably getting close to what the director of sport was making. But that didn't go down too well. So what they did is they said, okay, we can see that you've got a lot of clients. You're now going to be employed. Here's an employment contract. Of course, the employment contract, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to work out that the pay grading was different to what I was being paid by clients.
Yeah.
And so they moved it. But again, it's their centre. They get to do what they want.
Yeah.
I can piss and moan about it all I want until somebody listens to me and changes their mind. But That's their business. I'm a guest in their house. So what you do is you roll with the punches. Did the employment thing for a couple of years, and I give them this idea. I said, look, I think based on the start point I've had in my career and what I've done and what I've got wrong and bringing somebody else on, I've really enjoyed bringing Johnny through and helping him get started in his PT career. I want to run a development program for people that have just finished their PT course. Do you mind if I start up? They said, are you stupid? That's not going to work. Now, that manager's not there anymore. And I give them a list of names of people I wanted to like bring in to support trainers coming through. They said, nope, and more nope. It won't work. I said, cool, okay. I'll go and do it myself. And here we go with another leap of faith, going from employment, just moving into our brand new house where we still live now. And Sam's like rolling her eyes again saying, have I got to show you my faith again? And I'm like, yeah, probably should. Because I think it might work. And here we are.
And that was the launch of LTB.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So there's a few things to unpack there. First of all, when you left Future, was there any sense of I want to run my own business, I want to be an entrepreneur, or was it just a case of I want to be a personal trainer and that's what I'm going to go and pursue?
Yeah, it was that. Like I was so focused on helping people solve the problem of can they feel more vitality in life for the sake of a really, I know it's a really cringeworthy word, but my focus was purely on I love bringing the best out in people. I just love that. Can I do that for the rest of my life? And my way of doing that, for the most part, is through the vehicle of fitter, healthier lifestyle. Some people do that through talking therapy. Some people do that through diet alone. Some people do that through a range of different ways. Mindset, meditation. My way is I bring the best out in people when I can show them a pathway to being stronger, fitter, healthy, and all that kind of stuff. That's all I was focused on. And the growth of the business in terms of my one-to-one PT, all the way through to the growth of Lift the Bar, it was never anything intentional. The only intentional part was, can I do this thing? Can I solve this problem?
It's so interesting because it's so hard to teach that, right? Like, people are looking for the answer. Like, how do I do what Chris did? Well, you kind of have to have some of that passion. Basically, that passion is what drove you. So one of my questions was going to be, did you pick that niche in the gym because you spotted an opportunity? You kind of already answered it. It wasn't because of that. It just naturally you wanted to help those people, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like, who are the people that need the most help? The people that are most, or at least supported and represented. It's like, okay, start there.
Yeah, I love that.
Just and that's where I went. So going back, it was being an entrepreneur or business owner of LTB and stuff intentional? No, I literally gave the idea to my manager, who laughed me out the room. If he had said yes, then who knows what the future might, who knows where we might be now? Don't know. Maybe still on my contract. Like maybe I've worked my way up to the top of my paid grade or pay grade, whatever they do. It's like, you're in band 6, you're going to get to the top of band 6, and you're going to stay there for the rest of your life, which is fine. Like for me, like, I'm just glad he didn't take me up on that.
Yeah, what a different career it may have panned out to be.
Yeah. It's mad.
Yeah. So this manager has told you no, he's rejected you, and you've decided, right, I'm going to go and figure this out for myself. How did you, I think I know the first members of LTB, Tony Cottenden, right?
Yeah.
How did that happen? How did the first people kind of agree and decide that they wanted to be part of LTB and
mad, isn't it?
Join this with you?
I think about this quite a lot. It's mad. So I was like, in the early days of Facebook, I wasn't like earliest at all, but like I had a Facebook page that a few people followed because I got some articles published in Men's Fitness and stuff. And I was part of my job at Future. I met the really wonderful people at Reflex Nutrition. I don't know if they're still there actually, but I don't think some of them are. But yeah, they brought me along to some trade shows and stuff and asked me to help out as a contractor with some of the stuff. And I guess that gave me a little bit of a name. And then I just put a throwaway post on my Facebook page saying, look, I've really enjoyed developing Johnny and bringing him through, and I think he's doing pretty good, and I don't think there's necessarily a huge amount of support out there for newly qualified personal trainers. If I was to run a little group of, let's say, 15, 20 people, and we all got we met online once a month just to troubleshoot trainer problems and get an expert to come and speak to us for half an hour. This is long before webinars where I didn't even know online chat rooms were available beyond MSN. And 20 people come forward, and then 20 very quickly turned to, so I just seen your post, 20 become 30, and I set out a pages on my new laptop. Bought a new laptop, and I set out a pages document explaining the tiering model. I sent everyone a pages document.
Love it.
And then from the pages document, how they could then pay if they wanted to be a part of it. And I remember being on the plane on the 22nd of November 2013, just about to fly to New York on a trip my mum had paid for me. Bring it. I don't care. I got no judgment here. My mum paid for me to go to New York. I don't care. She just sat right next to me, and I said, Mum, somebody just paid me on PayPal. I think we're in business. And then then of course, everyone turned your phones off. I spent the rest of that flight absolutely terrified. So what have I done? What have I done? And then I landed, and another payment had come in. Martin Armand, again, still a part of Lift the Bar. And it's wow, this is great. I think of the first 20 members we ever got, I think 19 are still with us all the time, and then one dips in and out every 6 months or so.
I love that. Why?
Yeah, it's very different business to what it was back then, but at the same time, it's to know they're still in the job 9 years later. It's pretty good. It's kind of bucking industry trends, right? So
Yeah.
they're still doing it 9 years later. We've done something okay.
100%. And I've been a part of LTB. I can't remember how long.
Yeah, absolutely.
7 years?
Long
time. Long time, actually.
Yeah.
7-8 years. Which is mental as well. And I remember discovering it probably towards, I don't want to say the end of my career, but as I was coaching less and less, and I always remember thinking, I wish this was around when I started.
Yeah.
So I would have been such a better coach and better prepared for life in the industry and dealing with different situations. It is an amazing community.
Even not even the positive side, be a better coach. Normalize that things go bad. Normalize we lose clients.
Sure.
Normalize that clients ghost us. Normalize that we get all our hopes set up for a consult that then doesn't show up. Knowing that we're not the only one that happens to can be really powerful.
100%. Definitely. So we'll fill in the gaps in a minute, but so that was 2013?
Yeah.
First 20, 30 members. How many members do you have today?
Claire's in the office along the way. I'll probably get this wrong. 1,250 or so. Amazing.
I love that. And why do you think LTB needs to exist? Or maybe you've kind of explained your thought process at the start. It was just your kind of enjoyment and passion for helping develop PTs and coaches. Has that changed? Do you think there's a need for LTB in the industry, and should there be a need for it?
I'm too biased to say. It's a damning indictment in many respects that there is a need for it. I still think there's a need for it, but more so now because of the core. I'll come to this in a bit. The core 600 members we've got. The fact there's a want for it is the most rewarding feeling I've ever had in business.
Yeah.
The fact that people want to sign up for. I put a post out in. I was down on the beach down at Sandbanks last year on holiday. I thought, do you know what? I'm one of the only companies that have never done a lifetime offer. Okay, here's what a lifetime offer might look like for Lift the Bar. Before the day was out, we had 30 people wanting to sign up for it. It's bonkers. Yeah. But they don't sign up because they need Lift the Bar. They sign up because they want to be here. And that's so cool.
Yeah.
And that's not a me thing. That is the combination of work from Claire, from Stu, from Greg, from Alex, and everyone else. But the reason why we do that work is because we want to do it. We want to support personal trainers. Well, I mentioned my grand scheme, which is actually supporting clients through the vehicle of trainers. Because if we can do that, then our whole industry raises its level, and what the public expect from a personal trainer can change. Because the perception of personal training still probably isn't quite where we'd all want it to be. It's gone from Personal trainers are expected to be looking like they're about to step on the Olympia stage. Boot camp instructors meant to look like all they wear is camo and a vest. And now, of course, it's moved from that a little bit to that maybe there's a growing expectation that your personal trainer needs to be the best dancer on TikTok. I don't know. But none of those things are truly reflective of, if you go down to your local Fitness First and the most enthusiastic trainer there is the one trying to make the most difference to somebody in any given hour. That's what I love to see. And I think the fact that people want what we have is really cool. Whether or not we're needed anymore, I don't know. Like, I hope we are, but I don't necessarily need to lean on that because I know we're wanted.
Yeah. So for people that don't know, what is LTB? How would you kind of describe what you deliver? Yeah.
Don't know anymore. So we started off doing webinars and Skype calls. That's it. And then we got a Facebook group. Now we've got a platform that effectively has about like 80 or so short courses. Well, say short, they're like anything from like 2 hours through to like 25 in total study terms. So we've got courses. We've got about 150 or so single lesson webinars. We publish ebooks for our members, a magazine. We still do many one-to-one like Skype calls. I say Skype, it's Zoom these days. I know I'm a dinosaur, I'm showing my age again. We have this Ask Jeeves thing too. No, we don't. We have a lot of support in place. But yeah, we're very much a multimedia company, all doing the same. We're trying to strive towards the same outcome, which is, do personal trainers feel that they can have a really fulfilling career for them, and not necessarily just blindly copy what everyone else in the industry thinks a good career looks like. So for me, when it comes to all the things we do, I want us to be a place where a personal trainer who only has the ambition to work part-time because they've got other things they want to do in life, whether it's a full-time job and they just want to do PT on the side, okay, cool. We are so behind you. We value that so much. How can we make your clients really enjoy your service even more? That's what we want to do. And then alongside that, we might have people, people like Mike Waywell, who's been a part of Lift the Bar probably from the first year as well. In fact, it was the end of the first year. He was with us since the Joe DeFranco webinar, November 2014. And now he's opened multiple gyms. He's got an amazing gym owner support program. So all things in between. But the most important thing for us is the clients that they serve getting a really great quality of service. And that's what all of the content should drive towards. So we've got everything from communication courses through to some online business stuff and all things in between.
I love that. And what I really love is what you said about there being, different careers. It's not all copy and paste.
Yeah.
Be a successful PT, then an online coach, then move to Dubai, then post the Burj Khalifa in your profile picture or whatever it may be. So, yeah, I love that. And that's part of what this podcast is about, right? Like your path is very different to what a lot of people may think is available to them. So I really love to hear that. You've referred to we, and this is what we do at LTB quite often, and something that I'd love to hear you talk about is the team at LTB, because I think you've done a great job at really empowering a few people. For example, Claire does an amazing job operationally, and I absolutely love Stuart's marketing. I think he's brilliant. So I'd love to hear, who the team is and how you've managed to empower people to really excel in roles and take them off your hands effectively.
Yeah, I don't know if I've empowered people. I just put complete trust in them. As like the biggest assumption I could ever make is that I'm the best person to do the job in all circumstances, and that is so wildly incorrect that I've got the humility to know it. That look, when it comes to operations and projects and making sure that we follow through upon the ideas that we have and make sure they go from my scatty brain into something that looks and feels really professional, well, that's Claire all day long. When it comes to really enjoying the intricacies of exercise delivery, programming and stuff, Greg's way more passionate about that than me. So he's the right person for that. And then Stuart, from a marketing perspective, he's always had like this idea about wanting to grow as a commercial body inside the business. So just say, okay, cool, practice. Like, just go and practice. There's nothing we can do that's wrong, because if we spend our time coming all the way back to the reason I got into personal training for me, and they're representing what my vision for personal training is, which is, again, leading people to, or helping people see that they can live a better quality of life through great personal training, then you can't be wrong. It's impossible to get it wrong as long as we've got that in the forefront of our mind. We talk about like leadership and management. I will be honest, and Greg will back me up on this. I think I had, whether it's through text conversation or phone contact last year, I probably spoke with Greg in total through all media platforms, probably about 5 or 6 times all year. There was no grand plan. He just comes to me out here and said, I would really like to support personal trainers this way by doing this thing. I'm like, cool, you know best. You know how you're going to bring the best out of people? Go for it. I don't care. you fit in the brief, right? And then Stuart, the same. The one person I have contact with every single day without fail is Claire, because the behind the scenes running of an online business of this size, I don't say this size from I don't think it's grandiose, but to have over 1,000 customers, if 1% of them have got queries in a day, that needs a process behind it. So I speak to Claire an awful lot, and we make sure that the things and the needs inside the business are met. But in terms of empowering, I'm a terrible manager. I hate having meetings, but I like to have a vision of how we support PTs. And this really came into its own the start of the COVID era. For the first time ever, every personal trainer had exactly the same problem at exactly the same time. And we had the humility to say, everything we've done until this point is largely pointless. What have we got? What have we done that's going to support personal trainers for this really weird period of time that's going to come? So everything from the fact that I have an online client that I've had for 12 years that lives in Sweden, it's like, okay, well, how do I train her? How do I program for her? How do I make sure that even though I never see her in person anymore, she's doing the things, right? All these things, like the camera setup and all this kind of stuff, we all come together and it's like, again, we'd had no meetings, we have no chats. We're like, just solve the problem. Just solve the problem. It can't be wrong. So I guess in terms of how do I empower people, I empower them by saying, or I like to think I empower them by saying, I completely trust in everything you do and every decision you make, because I've known you for long enough now to know that you know what we all want out of this. And luckily, we're all on the same page that way. And then you've got Alex Pearson, who does amazing work for us. He supports Stuart no end. We've got Maggie, who helps out. Sally Eccles, that helps out. Claire's got a back office team of Danny and Shelley. We've got Ali working here, making sure trainers have got loads of great training ideas and all kinds of stuff. But I meet with none of them other than Claire. If I need something from any of them, they're on the end of the phone, and vice versa. But we're also busy completing the brief that it generally tends to work very, very smoothly. I have no idea what hours they work or when they clock in or out. It's up to them. They solve the problem. Because the thing is, the beauty of all of this is that because we're very open book internally, the numbers won't lie to us. They won't. And if we're losing more members than we're gaining, then we're not solving the right problems at the right time for enough people. If we're gaining more members than we're losing, then maybe we're doing something right. And we're just really open and honest about that.
I love that. So rather than strategically thinking, how can I get the most from my team? How can I remove myself from this position? How can I improve this function in the business? It's focusing on, this is the goal of the business. This is the best person who's best at it. Crack on. And it's the goal and the focus, or the mission and the vision of the business that drives, what they do.
Yeah, I mean, this year we're going to have more meetings because the size of the business, I mean, we've changed. We are bigger than what we were, and there are more people. So we will have more meetings this year, just purely not from are you doing this thing? It's like, hey, I'm doing this thing, and we've got some really talented people in the business. Anybody fancy collaborating with me on this? Anybody fancy helping out? Or I've had Claire might say, we've lost a load of members because of this issue. Can we think about things this way? And that's a really nice place to be. But we never do like KPI meetings and things like that. I know lots of people do. They like to have an overarching view over every statistic, but really we are so laser focused on very basic metrics, and we know very well if we are achieving those basic metrics through the feedback in the numbers.
I love it. What's the biggest so what is the biggest challenge in running LTB, so the type of business it is, and now today the size of business it is?
So it's funny, I was watching Dragon's Den about 2 years ago, and I had a cry because I finally felt understood. I finally felt it wasn't a me thing. Sarah Davis talking about her craft subscription business, online videos to help crafters get better crafting, right? You have to completely regenerate your client base every 6 months. I'm like, well, we're not that bad. We're not quite every 6 months. But what she was getting at is that the stickiness of a subscription-based business is really tricky in this day and age when the barriers to entry setting up aren't that high. And the businesses that tend to do best in this respect have a leader who is present every day online and have somebody who can be followed. And I'm not that guy. I don't want to be that guy. That would be a paid prison to me. And so what we have to accept, coming all the way back to your question, I'm going off a tangent, is a business like Lift the Bar, this year, out of 1,250 or so people, we will probably lose 500 people. So we have to find 500 people just to be where we were.
Yeah.
But this has been the case since year 2. So whilst people might look at or might listen to numbers like, oh, 1,250 people, about 50 quid a month, that sounds good money. So, well, what have you put all your chips onto that, knowing full well that you might not replace 500 members this year? Having the resilience to know that you're going to lose half of all your business this year. I woke up on January the 1st, knowing full well that I'm going to lose half my business this year. It's very motivating to me to know that we will outperform what we did last year, like we have done every year. But what a lot of people think about when it comes to an online subscription business, they'll have a wonderful launch, they'll get a couple of hundred people onto something, and it will do really, really, really well, and it's fantastic, and I'm so behind anybody that goes for it. Everybody gets flattened when they realize the true nature of subscription businesses. That's what's really tough. But luckily, we run the business in a way that really allows us to have joy inside and outside of work, that then makes sure our numbers are what they are, which is always pretty solid. But to say that it's not a mild anxiety at times, knowing full well that we've got to replace 500 members a year just to break even, it's hard. It's really tough. But we've got a business now that's loved enough by a core 600 people. So all of our safety measures are based around like 600 people. Anybody over and above that, it's, hey, we're cool. We're really cool.
I love that. Do you, I know we spoke on metrics briefly a moment ago and you said it's not something you obsess over. Is churn percentage something, is it one of those metrics? Do you do anything to proactively kind of improve churn?
Oh, we have thrown everything at it in all kinds of different ways. And this is why when Sarah was mentioning it, it's like we do anything and everything and still the numbers don't improve that much. But we know, for instance, for us, very bluntly, if we improve our churn percentage by 10%, we're talking potentially we could bring 2 more full-time jobs in just straight away. And that's a really tough place to be. But we'll never stop trying. Because the thing is, we talk about churn percentage. We could rephrase that and say number of problems we're not solving.
Yeah.
Or we're attracting people in that don't need problem solving. Maybe that's it. You know, the case for us is when we bring people into the business and there is 80 courses. I mean, we're talking 4,000 hours of video content in there, Suk. So I don't worry about people setting up a business like Lift the Bar, because to have the sheer mass of stuff we've got, just to record 4,000 hours of content is 4,000 hours. That's before you've even prepared the content, which is another 25,000 hours.
Yeah.
It's a lot. The downside to that is that when somebody comes in, like, where the hell do you even start? There's so much. This is why for us, churn percentage starts off by going along the lines of how we marketing based on we can solve this problem in this way if you're this person, and this problem in this way if you're this person. And that's where we'll start seeing better performance on churn. Services like Stripe give you really good reports on subscriptions based on, for instance, your January cohort of trialists. Here's how many of them are still around. So we can go all the way back to the campaign we ran, what we did internally in terms of the service provision, and figure out, well, January did this is our expectation. In February, we had this campaign, we had these resources launched internally, these amount of people logged onto the site, yet the retention was lower. So we need to do more of the January things and less of the February things. Okay, go team. And these are the conversations we have.
I love that. We use something called Chart Mogul.
Nice.
Plugged into Stripe, and try not to obsess over the metrics, but the graphs look. If the graphs look cool, and you just can't help checking every day.
The thing for us is that we could get obsessed on number of people logging in per month. We could look at duration of login time, number of people that are staying around because they've watched program design versus a marketing webinar. That we could get buried in metrics forever. So what we do is we look, how many fucking members we got?
Yeah.
That is a driver for everything, know? So we look at things in a real basic way. I tend to look at things in a basic way, and I never put pressure on unless we go through a trend of 3 months where we've lost more members than we gained, in which case there are problems out there in the big wide world that we're not talking about and solving.
Yeah, I love that. What are the main challenges that you do help people with, or the most common help that you see people needing when they come in to Lift the Bar?
The most common ones are going to be, without any shadow of a doubt, getting clients results. How do we get clients better results? How do I get more clients through the door without impinging on too much of my time? Everyone, there's this big pressure on trainers feeling like they need to be on every platform every day, and they may feel grossly uncomfortable. It's like I'm selling a part of my soul to do this thing to get more clients. Most trainers we've noticed, they want the benefits of great marketing. They don't want to be great marketers. Yeah. And as a result of that, trying to navigate that balance of how I grow my business on my terms, my way, is a big part of what we do. Getting clients results, how to write better programs, and how to run a more efficient business, how less cancellations and that kind of stuff. But I'd say we've it ebbs and flows based on what industry trends are at the time, but we've very much settled on how do we deliver a great training product, and what does that look like? So from exercise selection all the way through to post-session wrap-ups and all that kind of stuff that's in between. That's the problem we mostly solve.
And I don't want to oversimplify this, but what advice would you give to a personal trainer or coach who's listening to this, isn't a member of Lift the Bar, but has just found out that that's one of the most important problems to solve? What maybe a couple of pieces of advice would you give around that?
In terms of great training product or marketing stuff?
Yeah, training product, getting clients better results.
Yeah. The most important thing when it comes to clients getting amazing results is the setting of expectations at the very, very start, and then how we monitor the honesty process within the client-trainer relationship. Every client knows when they come in to train with me what my expectations of them are. And they aren't huge expectations, but the biggest one is honesty. And most trainers feel really awkward having that conversation at the very start of their careers, and even now, about what expectations are set on them, because a lot of trainers will come in without necessarily a background in any kind of business. And what they'll assume is that the client is the master because they're the paylord and we are subservient to what they do. Or they'll go completely the other way, in which case they'll say, look, if you want to train with me, you will track 7 days a week, you will go to bed at 8 p.m. and you will not go on social media. There's this happy medium whereby, look, we're in control of the journey and writing the map, but they got to walk it. And knowing that as a coach early doors and creating the right expectations for the right reasons is everything. it's everything. It will grow. That kind of outlook will grow your business way faster than you think as well.
Yeah, I love that.
Because the best thing about knowing how to set expectations is that people can opt in and out of the desired behaviors to achieve those expectations. If people know what to expect from you and how you coach, it's much easier to opt in. I look at a lot of people who post content online. I was like, I have no idea how you coach. I have no idea what your expectations of me are going to be if I decide to click a link.
Yeah.
And therefore, that element of not knowing means I can't opt in or out to anything. Great coaches have amazing expectations, have amazing ability to have honest conversations with clients. And honest conversations don't mean, why are you lying to me about your nutrition? It means, look, how are you feeling today? Your facial expressions are a bit different. Your tone of voice is a bit different. You all right?
Yeah.
And then not to say, no, I'm. You don't want to get into a massive counselling session, but the ability to ask that question in the first place means that you're trying to coach the person as they are. Really, really important.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I love that. Moving to a slightly different topic. What I'd love to get your thoughts on are the current state of the industry. I think there's been a lot of transition recently. Yeah. COVID maybe changed a lot as well, but it'd be cool to know, where you think it is right now, what are the challenges, and maybe what are the opportunities?
Okay, so I'm actually a really terrible person to ask this in many respects, so sorry for whatever content I give you now, because I've really detached from nearly every corner of the industry. You're one of the last people in my network, as it were, that I really speak to on industry level now. And so because you detach from it, it's left me so laser focused on my industry, which is Lift the Bar and Curious, that all of my outlooks on that are really positive. I'm seeing no real change in numbers based on things like cost of living, which I know is being widely reported and there's a lot of worry about it. I'm seeing people trying really, really, really hard for clients, and I really love that. The times I do occasionally go a bit voyeuristic and look at stuff, I've seen a lot of trainers who seem to be really keen on gaining attention, which is a good thing to have, especially if you're working online. Ultimately, before the second priority online is you want to make money, but the other currency is attention. So people are doing more novel and new things, whether it's TikTok or Reels and things like this, and that seems to be a real big thing. Maybe people focusing so much on being entertaining, they forget to talk about actually how they do their job. That's something I'm not necessarily that comfortable with, but again, I detach myself so far away from this kind of stuff that it's really hard to give an indication about what the industry is. What I'm seeing at industry level, if we talk about my business to consumer stuff, so Curious Fitness, we've seen numbers grow and the hardships coming in from this. People are tired, people are stressed, but people want experiences and they want energy. And going and finding that alone is really tricky. So if you're somebody that through what you're doing is supporting people to feel more energized, more understood, and live better experiences and navigate whatever hardship we're going through in a good way, great. That's what I think the industry should be. As to how many people are focusing on that, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to ask you, what is the industry like at the moment? Is the clean eating, flexible dieting war still going on? I moved to an island,
I think this is really interesting because I'm the same as you, but I've always been very detached from the industry. So, very brief background. Obviously, I owned CrossFit gyms back in the day, and which was a large cultish community. But I even was completely detached from that because I shared slightly different opinions. Like, you don't have to go paleo. Sugar is not addictive. And for whatever reason, I chose to detach myself then and have remained attached. Why are you detached now? Why have you made that decision consciously to kind of maybe step away and focus on your own thing? Or so why have you done that?
Yeah, it's tough. The thing is, like, the pursuit of what Lift the Bar's been and Curious has been brings you closer to people who have got a similar pursuit for themselves. And this is a me flaw. Whenever I was struggling and I needed my best mates or needed my family and stuff, I'd find myself so entwined with industry stuff that I was forgetting to address some of the problems I had in my own life. Give you an example. There's like literally one of the 5 people that mean most to me on this planet. Didn't really speak to him properly for 5 years. In that time, he went through a bunch of fertility things and couldn't have a baby and adopted in the end. And all the while, he was asking to catch up. I was like, I'm busy with work. And then he'd see me flouncing around on the internet with industry friends. My good friend this, my good friend that. And then when I started struggling, and my good friends this, good friends that, they had their own things going on. I was left completely on my own, a curse of my own making. So it wasn't the industry that forced me away. It was my relationship with the industry that become really quite bad. So what you do is you address things bit by bit. Reconcile properly with my mate. Got a wonderful relationship whereby we didn't speak properly for 5 years. Now there's not 5 hours that me and my 2 best mates aren't texting. We're in WhatsApp all the time. I'm choosing to spend my time with people who mean the absolute most all of the time. Now, this is to my detriment. I'll be honest, in some respects. Professionally, it's to my detriment. To my life, the life I want to live, don't forget, we're about 650 people above break even in Lift the Bar. So I know full well that if I did more networking, our business would be better off. I knew full well if I become more the face of the company and did more things industry-wise, we'd have more money. I know these things really clear because whenever I step in for a little bit, numbers do that. I'm perfectly comfortable networking less, speaking to less people on industry level, being less present online, and earning less money and having a less financially valuable company. I'm fine with that because I got my mates. I got Sam. I get to do the school run in the morning, not distracted. My relationship with my mobile device is completely readdressed. And what it's enabled us to do is grow a company that can exist completely without me needing to be in the industry. I'm in Lift the Bar because I'm wanted by our members, and I'm kind of a happy little bonus for members that join, but I'm not needed externally anymore. I think we do better if I was maybe sharing some of the load with Stuart, but he doesn't. You said yourself, he does an amazing job. Why would I need to be involved in that? I would rather, like for me now, the way in which my life is, I've spoken about this a little bit in Lift the Bar, and I think we spoke about it before as well, is that if I earn personal wealth-wise, if I earned an extra 100 grand this year, 5 or 6 hours of my day would not change at all. Do the school run in the morning. Well, I do my early sessions first. So 7 and 8 a.m. By 8, I do 6 on Wednesdays and Fridays, 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. I'm back home by 8 to do the school run. I walk the dogs with Sam every day. So Sam is in a fortunate position through what we've done in the business, whereby she's now, we call her retired. We didn't call her stay-at-home mum because that's really demeaning, and a lot of people have got negative connotations on that. She's retired, and so we walk the dogs together for a couple of hours. Then I'll go jiu-jitsu. Then I'll go to the gym. I'll hang out with Claire for a bit and talk about Lift the Bar. I'll check in with Johnny and the gym gang in the afternoon, do a session, and that's my day. Like, I can run my life on like about 40 grand a year. That's a salary for 2 people. Like, having more money is great. The valuation of the business will go crazy, but why would I want to sell the business? It's mad. I used to have this aspiration to, by the way. But for me, I've finally got what I consider to be complete freedom. I don't have to be present on social media at all. You see my social media stuff. Basically, like, do videos of the kids, highlight real stuff of the kids, some jiu-jitsu stuff, and that's it. The thought of me having to be in industry, shaking hands and like be arms around my good friend this, my good friend that. I can't do it. I can't do it. Some people can and do it wonderfully, and I'm so in awe of that. But if anybody thinks for 1 second I trade in spending more time in the industry with my good friend this, good friend that, at the expense of my best mates, nah. But again, I go back to it. That's a me thing. It's you do you, hun.
Yeah, I think a really big takeaway is people know that they don't have to do the whole industry thing, right? I think a lot of people do it because they feel like they have to. They have to be in certain circles. They have to be seen with certain people at certain events, speaking at certain conferences. And you know, I say no to every speaking gig, always. There's a handful. I'd probably speak for you if you asked me, and maybe 2 or 3 other people.
Thanks.
And that's it. And I think, and it's not because I dislike people. It's not because I dislike other people who do it. It's because I just want to be around my family all the time. I'm not going to travel and go and speak.
Yeah.
I have my perfect life away from industry life.
Yeah, completely. I mean, like I say, for me, is I think it's a really important thing to know yourself and know your own triggers, and knowing that I am at complete peace with who I am now as a person. There was a long time, especially like with the elephant in the room, or the not elephant, the 2 babies in the room, and you've been through a similar thing, growing these things at an industry level, and also having young children. Like the period of like 2016 through to 2018 should have been some of the happiest times of my life, and it was the really, by far and away, the hardest time in business I've ever had. And the people I needed closest to me, I'd alienated.
Yeah.
So you learn the lessons on it, and you accept that you can't do everything, but choose what you can do and do it the best you possibly can. I'm on this planet to be the best possible dad for 2 little girls, the best possible husband for an amazing wife, and for the people that loved me before all of this took off, to still be there. Anything else is a bonus.
I love that. That's a great another little side chat, or curveball, if you like. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, mate. I've got some finishing questions for you, if you're up for it.
Finish him.
Let's do it.
Can you add the little thing on for Mortal Kombat?
Come on, mate. We're not quite there yet. This is what episode? I don't know what it's going to be. 7, 8. We'll bring that stuff in the future. So some quick fire questions. What do the next few years look like for you as an entrepreneur or business owner, and for LTB?
For LTB, trying to replace 500 people that leave this year. That's part 1. So we're replacing 1,500 people over 3 years. Let's go with that. No, for Lift the Bar, very much the big thing for us this year is participation. We want more people not just join Lift the Bar, but participate in the things we do, whether it's webinars, workshops. I get the most validation by seeing eyes and facial expressions and stuff like that. My innate need or neediness, requires that validation. So a big thing for us is participation. We're going to do more things that more people can participate in more of the time. That's what I need out of life. That's what we're going to go with. For me as an entrepreneur, just ticking that and making sure that I check myself very, very regularly in terms of, am I leading the kind of life that I want to live? At the moment, on a personal and work level, I would, if I could repeat 2022 for the rest of my life and never live a different year again, if I had to, like Groundhog Day 2022, I'd do the same. So I'm going to do more of the same with that.
I love that.
So effectively, for me, what that looks like is I work at around about 15 to 20 hours per week, all in. And most of that is built around being able to walk the dogs with Sam, do the school run and all that kind of stuff. Okay.
I've got a question now that I don't know if you'll have an answer for, being detached and all.
Cool.
What do you hate about the industry?
Voyeurism. People looking at somebody else's business, highlight reel, number of clients, even the car they've got, and conflating that with what a successful life looks like. You know, I think it's really important that trainers build the life they want and have a business inside that life that suits them, rather than trying to like as an example, right? Maybe the wrong guy to speak to about this. Maybe the right guy. Actually, definitely the right guy. Trainer that absolutely loves training people in person, feeling like they're missing out on something in life by setting up themselves as an online coach. So what they do is they look at the most successful online coach there is, copy everything they do, and then get really sad because they're not as successful or as popular as the most successful online coach in the world, and think they're a bad person because of it. Whereas if they were just happy to be, when they're happy before doing what they were doing, like, just do more of that,
100%.
So I think envy and voyeurism in our industry is really terrible. You see it yourself. Like, everyone's trying to copy everyone else because they think somebody else has got it figured out, but nobody knows how happy the person we're copying is when the lights go out and they're left to their own devices when work's been put down.
Yeah.
I wish more trainers would fulfill their own lives rather than copy someone else's.
Yeah, love that. Preaching to the choir, mate.
Yeah.
What's the biggest mistake you see coaches or personal trainers making when they're trying to, build their business?
Wow, that's I saw that on the show notes actually. So I thought of so many, and then I've got mind block and so few. But go from the heart. When people are growing their business, what they will do is they'll put a huge amount of pressure on themselves to win at the internet, rather than starting with these little spheres of influence. Like, the people closest to you are the ones that want you to win the most, for the most part. And it's very likely that they know the next person who will train with you. And when they start training with you, they will probably know the next person to start training with you. And so the story continues. The internet is an infinitely brilliant thing for so many reasons. But if we ignore the opportunities we have within the people we already know and the people that they know when growing a business, then my worry is that people will spend so much time online without really utilizing the tools they've got at their disposal first. Like, it's much better to start with, like, growing a business when you've got a bit of proof that your product works and that people really enjoy it. But instead, what you see when people get started is they're given away a lot of information, a lot of advice, and being very entertaining, but they've missed out on the fact that their mum's mate, Maud, would probably pay you 4 or 5 times a month, and now you've got someone to work with and some proof that it actually works. It's a really difficult one when you see trainers go all in on the internet and miss the opportunities that are literally sometimes right in front of their face. And case in point, Barney's dad. Barney's a fox red lab in the village. Oh, he's a beautiful dog. His dad, I call him dad. He's not his real dad.
He's a dog dad.
It's not a dog. He's a man. But you get it. Barney's dad. He's just stopped being a judge locally. He's just retired, and he said to me, "You know your neighbour Chris." It's very confusing. I've got a neighbour called Chris. He said, "You've done amazing with him. Like, will you train me as well?" It's like, well, let me tell you a story. I don't train him, my team do. But here's a little voucher. Got a little voucher on my phone. Said, text Johnny that and he'll get you started. Got to start straight away. This is a guy literally walking the dog in a village full of about 60 people. Right in front of my fucking face.
Love it.
And it all comes from him knowing someone who I live by. If we threw a net over everybody locally and figured out who was there that we kind of know, that kind of wants to work with us, a lot of trainers would do very, very, very well in their early career doing that.
Yeah, again, 100% agree. Love a bit of confirmation bias.
I love a circle jerk. Love it. Come on, everyone in the circle.
And on that as well, just as an addition, people even make that mistake when they are going online, because we used to teach we still do teach to this day. Who do you already know? Who you already spoke with? Who worked with you in the past? Use your existing, like, they've got a Facebook page. Oh no, it's only personal stuff there. It's like, good, they know you. And instead they're looking for the fancy thing. What about the algorithms? What about Facebook ads? Like, just go and speak to the people that you know and you spoke to in the past and that they've spoke to. Yeah, makes sense. So let's finish on a positive note. What do you love? One thing that you love the most about the industry?
So when it comes to the industry, I love the nature of the job itself, because if we think about all the decisions people have to make in order to get fitter, healthier, and live a life full of wonderful experiences and minimal regrets, great training can support that, great nutrition can support that, but sticking to it is really tricky. So the number of decisions somebody has to make purely about a training session, the number of reps, the number of sets, whether the execution of the exercise is right. Then when they go home, how many calories to eat, protein, all this kind of stuff. How do they minimize stress and the input sources they have? And then once they've done all these things, how do they stick to doing them? I love that we get to do that for a living. I love that we get to help people do that, because what you end up with when you do it really, 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 really well is you end up with better dads, mums, husbands, sisters, brothers. You end up with people with usually better careers because they're less irritated and less stressed and can have better conversations. People downplay our industry as fat loss and rep counting, whereas we're the culmination. Every client you work with, your relationship with them is the culmination of thousands of decisions made every single month. Okay, this set we're going to add 2.5s on. There's a decision made that they no longer have to do.
Yeah.
And the reason why many people never experience this wonderful series of outcomes is because when we're left to make these decisions for ourselves and nobody throws their arm over your shoulder to say, you've got this. Remember I mentioned about Sam putting her arm around my shoulder and saying, I believe in you. People fail. And what we end up with is more irritated people with less energy, feeling like an absolute sack of crap, and always on this start-stop thing. The thing I love about our industry, about personal training and online coaching and the people that we generally tend to speak to in our profession, Suk, is I love the fact that we let people live better lives through wonderful decision making. This is why I'll do this forever.
I love it. It's an amazing answer and so true. Like, one of our big kind of missions at Stridist is getting that message out there, doing what maybe SimpSpa should be doing or reps should have done. Like, why aren't the government recommending what we do for the general public instead of, no, it's fats that are bad this month. No, it's sugar is bad this month. So I love that.
Yeah.
So, Chris, it's been an absolute pleasure. If people want to find out more about you or Lift the Bar, where should we send them?
Oh, wow, there's two very different things.
Yeah.
Lift the Bar, probably follow us on Instagram at Lift the Bar. And if you want professional answers on what our business does, email stuart@liftthebar.com. If you want to see videos of me walking my dogs, holding hands with my wife and playing bowling with my girls, then I'm at Burge_LTB on Instagram. I sometimes post on Facebook, but usually that's football fan baiting stuff, so probably less important for Stridist and Fit Founder customers.
Yeah. So we'll link all that stuff and people can make their own decisions.
Yeah.
Chris,
probably just follow Stu.
Yeah.
They'll probably do that.
If for those of you that are listening, the Lift the Bar Instagram is an amazing source of content and very relatable and educational and entertaining occasionally as well. Chris, it's been a pleasure, mate. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I really loved it. Thanks, mate.